Under the dazzling lights of the Pulse studio, a renowned live talk show blending fierce political debates with vibrant entertainment, the atmosphere crackles like a battlefield. Caroline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history at 27, sits upright, her gaze sharp. Across from her is Samuel L. Jackson, the Hollywood star with a confident smile and unmistakable charisma. The show promises an unrelenting TV showdown, and the audience holds its breath in anticipation. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Leavitt is here to defend President Donald Trump's controversial new tariff policy, which has sparked heated debate. Hollywood, led by voices like Jackson, has relentlessly attacked the White House on social media, calling Trump's policies an economic farce. The show's producers, sensing drama, invited Leavitt to face these criticisms head-on. As Trump's mouthpiece, she knows this is a chance to squash doubts and assert the administration's strength. Leavitt prepared meticulously, armed with data and razor-sharp confidence, ready to turn the stage into her podium. Jackson, meanwhile, was invited to promote a new film, but everyone knows he can't resist slamming Trump. His recent tweets mocking Trump's golf game and politics made him the producer's pick to ignite controversy. With a biting quip about Trump's golf habits, he gets the audience roaring with laughter, but also heats up the room. Leavitt isn't just defending policy, she's defending the president, her mission, and millions who believe in them. Tonight she'll face Jackson, and she's brought a media bombshell ready to detonate. The stage is set, and the battle has only begun. The studio lights flicker, reflecting off Samuel L. Jackson's confident grin as he lounges in the guest chair. The crowd, Hollywood fans and political junkies alike, buzzes with anticipation. The host, Marcus Tate, a middle-aged man with a smooth voice and a knack for stirring controversy, kicks off with a softball. Samuel, what do you do to unwind between those intense action scenes? Jackson raises an eyebrow, leaning forward, and the room already feels charged. Unwind? I used to think golf was a good way, he says, his voice low and loaded. But then I played with Donald Trump, and I realized golf with him is like watching a movie. He writes the script, keeps his own score, and always wins. The audience erupts, some clapping, others shaking their heads in annoyance. Jackson doesn't stop. I swear, he hit the ball into the bushes and yelled, "That's a great shot." I'm standing there thinking, this guy runs the country. Tate laughs heartily, leaning toward Jackson. So you're saying President Trump doesn't play fair on the golf course? Fair, Jackson repeats, feigning shock. Marcus, he doesn't know what that word means. I saw him tweet from the course, and guess what? He spelled golf as gluff, G-L-O-F. The crowd roars again, laughter drowning out the show's background music. I'm not lying, check Twitter, if he hasn't deleted it. I bet he thinks spelling's a sport too, and he's the champ. Tate, seizing the moment, jumps in. So what do you think of Trump off the golf course? I mean, you're not shy about speaking your mind, right? Jackson shrugs, but his eyes gleam with mischief. Look, Marcus, I've played plenty of villains, nasty, cunning guys. But Trump, he's like the star of a B-movie nobody wants to watch. Bad script, bad effects, and a predictable ending, just misspelled tweets and bragging. He pauses, locking eyes with the audience. Y'all see him call himself a stable genius. I'm telling you, the only thing stable is his ability to mess things up. The crowd splits sharply, half laugh loudly, cheering Jackson's wit, while the other half boos, a few shouting, "Watch your mouth, Jackson." On the giant screen behind the stage, Twitter lights up. The hashtag #JacksonRoastsTrump Trump trends instantly, with tweets like Samuel L. Jackson just roasted Trump live on the Pulse, and who needs movies when you've got this real-life drama? A meme spreads immediately, Trump golfing captioned "Golf, the White House's new sport." Caroline Leavitt, seated opposite, keeps her face composed, but her hand grips the chair's edge tightly. Through her earpiece, her comms team whispers, "Careful, Caroline. Don't let him control the narrative." But Leavitt doesn't need the reminder. She's used to pressure from tense press briefings, to defending Trump against the media. Jackson may be a Hollywood legend, but she's the White House's voice, and she didn't come to lose. Each jab from Jackson only fuels her resolve. Tate, sensing the rising tension, turns to Leavitt with a sly grin. "Caroline, you've heard it all. Samuel's not holding back on the president. Want to respond before we move on? Jackson tilts his head, his eyes daring her. Leavitt takes a deep breath, her lips curling into a faint smile. She knows this isn't just a question, it's an invitation to step into the ring. Jackson landed the first punch, and it was sharp, bold, pure Hollywood. But Leavitt is ready. She's not just representing herself or Trump. She's standing for millions of Americans who believe in this administration. Caroline Leavitt sits steady in the guest chair, her eyes locked on Samuel L. Jackson, who just set the room ablaze with his jabs at President Donald Trump. Laughter and applause still echo in the studio, but the air has shifted to tense, as if everyone senses a storm brewing. Marcus Tate, the host with a flair for sparking drama, turns to Leavitt, his smile sly. Caroline, Samuel just gave us a colorful take on President Trump, from golf to Twitter. Care to share your perspective? Leavitt adjusts her mic, her lips forming a confident smile, sharp as a strategist ready to strike. Thank you, Marcus, she begins, her voice calm but laced with strength. I'm a big fan of Mr. Jackson, he's a master storyteller on screen. But when it comes to President Trump, I'm afraid his story's missing one thing, the truth. Jackson crosses his arms, smirking as if to say, go for it. Leavitt presses on, her voice growing crisper. Mr. Jackson wants us to laugh about golf and tweets, but I'm here to talk about what really matters to Americans. President Trump has brought back millions of jobs, cut taxes for families, and protected our economy from unfair competition. That's not a movie script, that's results millions are feeling. Tate, spotting an opening, asks, so you're saying what Samuel just shared is just entertainment? Not just entertainment, Marcus, Leavitt replies, her eyes shifting to Jackson. It's a distraction, Mr. Jackson loves talking about B-movie villains, but I'd ask, has he ever mentioned how many factories we've brought back to America, or how we're helping forgotten communities? I'm guessing not, because the truth doesn't make for Hollywood headlines. The crowd claps louder, especially those wearing pro-Trump slogan shirts. Jackson doesn't back down. Miss Leavitt, you talk a good game, he cuts in, his tone dripping with sarcasm. But Americans are also seeing prices skyrocket because of Trump's tariffs, right? Or are you too busy defending him to notice the grocery store? Laughter ripples from one corner of the audience, but Leavitt doesn't flinch. She leans forward, her eyes locking onto Jackson. Mr. Jackson, I grew up in a working-class family, no privilege, no VIP seats. I know what prices mean to people. But I also know what's worse, losing jobs, losing futures. The president's tariffs protect American workers, and I'm proud to stand with him to do that. If you want to talk groceries, talk to the people who got their jobs back, because of us. The stage shakes with applause, a few standing to cheer. Jackson tries to jump in. You're good at speeches, but Trump's still the guy calling himself geniuses on Twitter. But Leavitt cuts him off, her voice slicing through like a blade. Genius or not, Mr. Jackson, Trump acts for the people. While you're busy reading lines on a film set, we're rebuilding the American dream. That's something you won't get from a luxury lounge. Tate, seeing the heat peak, laughs loudly. Wow, neither of you is backing down. Samuel want to counter, but Leavitt, not waiting for a reply, lands one final line, like an arrow hitting the mark. Marcus, I'm not here to argue about tweets or golf. I'm here for the millions of Americans who believe in us. If Mr. Jackson wants to tell stories, let him stick to Hollywood. Politics. Leave it to those who know how to work, like me. Twitter explodes with posts. Caroline Leavitt just schooled Jackson on the pulse, and she's 27 and torched the stage. A meme spreads instantly. Leavitt with the caption White House 1, Hollywood 0. Jackson smirks, trying to stay cool, but his eyes betray a flicker of unease. He underestimated this young woman, and now the room is tilting her way. The air crackles after Caroline Leavitt's razor-sharp comeback. Applause still thunders, but the tension has hit its peak, as if everyone senses a knockout blow looming. Marcus Tate, the host with a gift for fueling fights, leans back in his chair, his eyes darting between the two guests. Caroline, you just defended the White House like a pro, he says, his voice teasing. But Samuel, you've been blunt tonight. Want to fire back? Samuel L. Jackson doesn't hesitate, his grin widening like a fighter spotting an opening. "Oh, I'm just getting started, Marcus," he says, leaning forward, his voice blending charm and mockery. "Look, Miss Leavitt, you talk jobs and taxes real nice, but let's be real, your boss's tariffs are jacking up prices for regular folks. I went to the store last week, diapers cost more than my movie tickets, and don't get me started on those tweets. Trump's out there misspelling America's, while bragging he's saving it. You're defending a guy who can't spell stable genius right." Jackson waves his hands theatrically. "Listen, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know a bad script when I see one. Trump's running a reality show, not a country, and you're the spokesperson for a season nobody wants to rewatch." The audience reaction splits, half cheer Jackson's boldness, half shout for Leavitt. Twitter ignites with posts, "Jackson's roasting tonight. #pulse drama," and Leavitt's holding her ground, but that tariff jab stung. Marcus Tate pours fuel on the fire. "Caroline, Samuel calls it a reality show. Your thoughts?" Leavitt keeps smiling, but her eyes burn with focus. She adjusts her mic, pausing just long enough to make the studio hold its breath. "Marcus, I'm glad Mr. Jackson mentioned scripts," she says, her voice steady but sharp as a knife. "Because I've got a story, one he might not want to hear." Jackson raises an eyebrow, still smirking, but his shoulders tense slightly. "Let's talk truth, Mr. Jackson," Leavitt continues, her voice cutting through the crowd's murmur. "You paint President Trump as a cartoon villain, but I'm wondering, were you laughing at him when you shook his hand at his golf club?" "That's right. In 2015, you attended a charity event at Trump's resort. I saw the photos, you were all smiles, standing next to him like old pals. If he's as bad as you say, why were you there, clinking glasses and chatting it up?" Jackson's smile freezes, his eyes narrowing. Leavitt doesn't let up. "You talk diapers and prices, but let's get real. I grew up working class, no red carpets or private jets, I know struggle. When I had my son, I was back at work weeks later, fighting for this administration because I believe in it. You mock tariffs from a penthouse while we protect American workers from unfair competition. You call it a reality show. I call it reality for millions of families who trust us." The studio shakes with applause, louder than anything Jackson's gotten. Leavitt's voice rises, drowning out the noise. "And those tweets you love to mock? They're not the story. The story is a president who speaks straight to the people, no Hollywood polish needed. You want to talk misspellings? How about distorting the truth, Mr. Jackson? Because that's what you do every time you twist reality to fit your script." Jackson tries to jump in. Hold up, he says, forcing a chuckle. "Digging up old photos, huh? Cute. I go to lots of events doesn't mean I back Trump." Leavitt doesn't budge. "Cute? No, Mr. Jackson, it's called accountability." She fires back, her voice like a blade. "You can't bash someone for years and forget you were happy to share the spotlight when it suited you, and your reality shows talk. I've stood in the White House briefing room, facing questions tougher than any script you've read. I've stood with the president through storms you'd never understand, because we don't act, we build futures. Want drama? Go back to Hollywood. We're busy keeping promises to America." Twitter goes wild. Leavitt just dropped a bomb on Jackson. #pulse showdown and 2015 pics? Game over, Jackson. Memes flood the internet. One shows Leavitt with a mic, captioned "Truth, one Hollywood 0. Jackson leans back, his grin now a tight line. He opens his mouth to respond, but Tate, sensing the moment, cuts in. "My God, Caroline, what a performance. Samuel, you've got seconds to reply before we break." Jackson shrugs, his voice quieter. "I just say what I see. Photos don't change facts." But his words sound flat, and the crowd barely reacts. Leavitt sits back, her face calm but victorious. She just unleashed a media bombshell, a reveal that flipped Jackson's narrative, exposing his contradiction. The crowd leaps to their feet, roaring in a wave of support unlike anything the show's seen. Samuel L. Jackson, used to owning the spotlight, now leans back, unease in his eyes, despite his forced smile. Marcus Tate, the host, seizes the chance to stretch the drama. "Holy cow, Caroline, you just set this stage on fire," he says, laughing, pointing to the audience. "Samuel, you took a heavy hit. Want to swing back before we wrap?" Jackson clears his throat, leaning forward, trying to regain his swagger. Well, Marcus, Miss Leavitt sure knows how to perform, he says, his tone laced with sarcasm but missing its earlier bite. Old photos, nice story. But listen, I don't need to pose with anyone to know what Trump's doing to this country. I'm just saying what people see. Misspelled tweets, tariffs hiking prices. She might win the crowd tonight, but out there folks are still paying for those policies. The audience response is mixed. Some clap lightly for Jackson, but most stay quiet, as if his shine has faded. Leavitt smiles, unshaken. She adjusts her mic, her voice calm but cutting. Mr. Jackson, I'm not here to perform, she says, staring straight at him. I'm here to tell the truth, something millions of Americans deserve to hear. You mentioned prices. I've said it before, I grew up working class, I get hardship. But I also know nothing costs more than losing jobs, losing futures. President Trump's tariffs shield workers, and we won't apologize for putting America first. Applause surges again, stronger, making Jackson raise an eyebrow. Tate, sensing the tide turning to Leavitt, steps in to balance things. Both of you have drawn clear lines, he says, facing the crowd. But I'm curious, after this clash, what do you think about moving past the drama? Samuel, you start. Jackson shrugs, trying to play it cool. Look, Marcus, I don't hold grudges, I say what I think, and if Miss Leavitt wants to defend her boss, that's her deal. But I'll keep calling it, like I see it on Twitter, or anywhere. He winks at the crowd, but the response is just scattered laughs. His words lack fire, as if he knows he's lost the edge. Leavitt doesn't let the moment slip. Move past drama, she echoes, a hint of sarcasm in her tone. Marcus, I'm not here for personal spats, I'm here to work for the president, for the American people. Mr. Jackson wants to keep tweeting? Go ahead. But we're busy building a stronger country, not chasing social media clout. Americans don't need Hollywood drama. They need results, and that's what we deliver. Tate raises his hands, laughing. I think we just saw a historic showdown. Caroline, Samuel, thank you both for heating up the pulse tonight. What do you all think? Who won this round? Shouts of Caroline drown out the few calling Jackson's name, leaving him shaking his head, his smile now resigned. As the stage lights dim and the show cuts to commercial, Leavitt stands, shaking Tate's hand with confidence. Jackson rises too, but only nods curtly before leaving the stage, his shoulders slightly slumped. Backstage, Leavitt's comms team cheers through her earpiece. You did it, Caroline. Twitter's going nuts for you. An aide yells. She smiles but doesn't respond, quietly checking her phone. Social media is ablaze. #Leavitt destroys. Jackson trends at #1, with thousands of posts like Caroline Leavitt just crushed Jackson. And from Hollywood to zero, she ended him. A meme spreads everywhere, Leavitt with a mic, captioned White House 1, Hollywood 0. Meanwhile, Jackson in his backstage lounge scrolls Twitter with a scowl. He types a quick tweet. I just speak truth, but the Pulse loves drama. Have fun with the spotlight, Miss Leavitt. But it's swamped by mocking replies. Truth? You mean that 2015 photo, Samuel, and Caroline won by knockout? Bro. One user posts a clip of Leavitt saying we're busy keeping promises, racking up tens of thousands of shares in minutes. On stage, as cameras stop rolling, the crowd still buzzes, many holding up phones to snap Leavitt as she exits. A group in Trump slogan shirts chants, Caroline, you're the best. She waves lightly, staying professional, but her eyes glow with victory. She knows she didn't just defend Trump, she turned Jackson, a Hollywood giant, into a faint shadow on his own stage. In a studio corner, Tate whispers to a producer, we just made TV history. The producer nods, eyes glued to a screen, showing skyrocketing live viewership. Caroline Leavitt steps out of the studio, the stage lights still echoing behind her. The crowd's applause, and the flood of tweets linger in her mind, but she keeps her cool, professional demeanor. As the backstage door closes, her comms team swarms, faces beaming. Caroline, you nailed it, an aide cheers, holding up a phone with #Leavitt destroys. Jackson topping trends. You made Jackson a meme on Twitter. Leavitt gives a small smile, nodding thanks, but keeping emotions in check. She steps into a quiet room, pulls out her phone, and calls her husband, Nicholas. "Did you watch?" she asks, her voice soft, a stark contrast to her stage sharpness. "I think I did okay." Nicholas laughs over the line. "Okay? You crushed him, Caroline." Nico's gonna be proud when he grows up. At the mention of her son, Leavitt feels a wave of warmth. She pictures him sleeping soundly at home, a reminder of why she fights, not just for Trump, but for the future of kids like him. She sits, closing her eyes briefly, whispering her Catholic habit of prayer. "Thank you, God, for the strength," she murmurs. Leavitt knows her win on the Pulse wasn't just about outshining Jackson. It was proof of her belief. Truth and hard work always beat flashy jabs. Jackson, with all his Hollywood fame, stood for a distant world, penthouses, all-night parties. Her, she's the voice of working families, those who believe in the American dream Trump's building. An aide knocks, handing her a coffee. "How you feeling, Caroline? The whole country's talking about you." Leavitt takes a sip, her eyes bright. "I feel fine," she says. "But this isn't about me. It's about the president, what we're doing. Jackson can tweet all he wants. We're changing real lives." The aide nods, clearly impressed by her humility. Caroline Leavitt leaves the Pulse's backstage, but the media and social media storm is just beginning. Within hours of her historic face-off with Samuel L. Jackson, her name is the hottest keyword across platforms. As she exits the studio, reporters' flashes pop relentlessly, and shouts of "Caroline" ring from the crowd outside. She waves lightly, staying professional, but inside she knows this moment is bigger than a personal win. She didn't just defend President Donald Trump, she sent a message: the White House won't bow to Hollywood's barbs. Inside the SUV taking her to her hotel, Leavitt scrolls her phone, the screen glowing with notifications. Twitter's on fire, with #Leavitt destroys Jackson at global #1. Millions of views flood clips from the Pulse, especially her 2015 photo "Bombshell" about Jackson at Trump's golf club. One user posts, "Caroline Leavitt just threw Jackson into the sand trap, #Pulse Showdown." A meme spreads everywhere. Leavitt with a mic, caption "Truth won, Hollywood 0" racking up hundreds of thousands of shares. Another clip of her saying, "We're busy keeping promises to America," hits over 10 million views, with comments like, "She's 27, and knocked out a legend." News outlets jump in fast. Fox News runs a bold headline: "Press Secretary Leavitt crushes Samuel L. Jackson in TV showdown." A commentator calls her the White House's young firebrand, praising how she turned Jackson's stage into Trump's platform. Newsmax goes further, posting a long analysis: "Caroline Leavitt, the woman who taught Hollywood a lesson in truth." They quote her line about her working-class roots, stressing she represents real Americans, those who work hard, not living in red carpet glow. Liberal outlets try to defend Jackson, but it's weak. CNN posts, "Jackson versus Leavitt clash or White House media stunt," but comments below favor Leavitt. "She didn't just talk, she had facts." MSNBC brings on a Hollywood analyst to back Jackson, saying he spoke what many think, but viewers slam it as nonsense against Leavitt's 2015 zinger. One user tweets, "Jackson thought he was Jules Winfield, but Leavitt held the truth gun tonight." Jackson, from his hotel room, scrolls posts with a grimace. He tries a comeback tweet: "The Pulse loves drama, but I say what I see. Enjoy the spotlight, Miss Leavitt," but it's buried under mocking replies. One says, "What truth, Samuel? The 2015 photo speaks louder than you." Another meme pops up, Jackson looking rattled, captioned, "When a 27-year-old leaves you speechless." His fans try to rally, posting his iconic roles, but the public tide clearly favors Leavitt. A comment gets thousands of likes: "Jackson picked the wrong fight. Leavitt doesn't play kid games." Meanwhile, Leavitt gets a White House text: "The president watched and loved it, says you're a true warrior." She smiles, the victory now not just hers but a milestone for Trump's team. A tweet from Trump himself drops soon after: "Caroline Leavitt is a White House star, defending truth against fake Hollywood." Amazing, it racks up millions of interactions, catapulting Leavitt's name higher. Pro-Trump accounts call her the new hero, with a viral meme, Leavitt beside Trump, captioned "Unstoppable duo." International media take note. The BBC runs, U.S. Press Secretary outshines Hollywood star in live clash, framing Leavitt as a young conservative icon. A German paper calls her Trump's secret weapon, noting how she turned a talk show into political propaganda. Even a political online forums, like Reddit, buzz. A post in Our Entertainment, titled "Did Caroline Leavitt Just Silence Samuel L. Jackson?" gets thousands of comments, one saying, "She didn't just win, she made him look like a sidekick in his own movie." The clash balloons beyond entertainment, becoming a cultural symbol. Analysts see it as a battle of two worlds, glitzy Hollywood, embodied by Jackson versus pragmatic politics, led by Leavitt. A Wall Street Journal piece argues, Leavitt tapped into the divide between elites and everyday people, making Jackson a symbol of disconnect. It cites her working-class story, saying it hit home for those feeling ignored by Hollywood. On TikTok, Gen Z turns the showdown into a trend. A video with millions of views shows a teen reenacting Leavitt's "We're busy keeping promises" line, with flashing effects like a knockout punch. Another user makes a Leavitt mic drop filter, letting people add a mic drop effect to sharp quips. Conservative influencers crown her the new queen, while some liberals grudgingly admit, "I don't like Trump, but Leavitt's impressive." Jackson, seeing he can't win online, pulls back. An Instagram post focuses on his new film, ignoring the pulse, but comments still ask about Leavitt, "You answering her yet, Samuel?" He stays silent, letting his PR team handle it. Leavitt, meanwhile, doesn't fan the flames. She declines press questions about Jackson, letting her win speak for itself. An aide tells her, "You don't need to tweet, the world's doing it for you." Back at the White House the next day, colleagues greet her with handshakes and smiles. A viral cartoon spreads online, Leavitt on stage, Jackson bowing, captioned "When Truth Meets Hollywood." She sees it, laughs but dives back into work, prepping for a new briefing. The Pulse win wasn't just a moment, it was a turning point, making Leavitt a symbol for those who believe in Trump and the American dream. But she knows the spotlight will shift, and the real work, keeping promises to the people, lies ahead. Caroline Leavitt stands before a White House office mirror, adjusting her blazer, prepping for another press briefing. Just days after her historic Pulse showdown, her name still dominates conversations, from dinner tables to online forums. Social media buzzes with #Leavitt destroys Jackson, memes of her and Samuel L. Jackson spreading non-stop, and news outlets dissecting every second of the TV clash. But for Leavitt, the spotlight is fleeting. Her real work, defending President Donald Trump and delivering for Americans, is what lasts. She steps into the briefing room, flashes popping as reporters thrust mics her way. One jumps and miss. "Leavitt, after your Pulse performance, people are calling you the White House's new star. What's it like beating Samuel L. Jackson?" Leavitt smiles, her eyes sharp yet calm. "I'm not here to spar with Hollywood," she says, her voice clear in the hushed room. "I'm here to work for the president, for the American people. Mr. Jackson can tell his stories, but ours is about truth, about building a stronger country. That's my focus." Twitter floods with comments. Caroline Leavitt just shut down the drama and stayed on mission. And she doesn't need Hollywood, she's real. Another reporter digs deeper, "But do you think beating Jackson changed how the public sees you?" Leavitt tilts her head, a faint smile. "If people see someone standing up for truth, I'm glad. But I didn't do it for the lights, I did it for those who believe in us, from Ohio factories to Iowa farms." The briefing room breaks into rare applause, unusual for such a dry event. Leavitt fields questions on tariffs, immigration, and foreign policy, each answer carrying new weight, the confidence of someone who took down a Hollywood titan without straying from her principles. A tweet from a conservative account spreads fast. Caroline Leavitt didn't just beat Jackson, she's beating the media too. #Real White House. Meanwhile, Samuel L. Jackson has gone quiet on the front lines. A recent Instagram post mentions only his new film, not the Pulse, but comments still flood in. "You answer Leavitt yet? And where's that 2015 photo, Samuel?" He doesn't reply, leaving it to his PR team, but his image has taken a hit. A Variety piece admits, "Jackson may be a screen legend, but on the political stage he met his match." Some fans defend him, calling Leavitt Trump's stunt, but the public verdict is clear. Leavitt won. That evening, Leavitt heads home to her husband Nicholas and son Nico. Holding Nico, her exhaustion melts away. "I did okay, right?" she whispers to Nicholas, her eyes bright. He hugs her, laughing. "Okay? You got the whole country talking about you and what you stand for." Leavitt nods, a rare peace settling in. She thinks of her prayers before every briefing, her Catholic faith guiding her through media storms. The Pulse win wasn't just a moment. It was proof that truth and dedication can outshine any glamour. The next day, Leavitt's invited to a major morning news show. She walks into the studio with her now signature confidence. The host asks, "Miss Leavitt, after the Pulse, you're an icon to many. What's your advice for young people eyeing politics?" She answers without hesitation, "Believe in what you do. Don't chase lights or clout. Work hard, be honest, and always put people first." That's how we roll at the White House, and how President Trump leads. Her words are quoted everywhere, from articles to TikTok videos. A new trend emerges. Teens post with #Leavitt lessons, sharing how they apply hard work and honesty to life. One young woman tweets, "Caroline Leavitt makes me want to get into politics, not for fame but for truth." Another meme spreads Leavitt with the caption, "When you're 27, and teach the world about conviction." The Pulse's impact doesn't stop at media. In White House meetings, colleagues look at Leavitt with new respect. A senior advisor tells her, "You didn't just defend the president, you showed the country who we are." Trump, in a meeting, pats her shoulder and says, "Caroline, you made me proud." To her, those words mean more than any headline. She reflects on her journey from a New Hampshire girl to the youngest press secretary ever. The Jackson clash made her an icon, but she doesn't let it derail her. Every day she wakes, prays, and works for Americans who believe in Trump's vision. Jackson can keep making movies, but Leavitt's rewriting a nation's story. As she preps for another day, her phone buzzes with a text from her mom, "You're our pride and joy." Leavitt smiles, sets the phone down, and heads out. If a star like Jackson couldn't shake her, nothing will. She's Caroline Leavitt, and she's just getting started. The story of Caroline Leavitt's clash with Samuel L. Jackson on the Pulse deeply mirrors the polarization and energy of public life in America today, where politics, media, and pop culture collide with drama. Leavitt, as White House press secretary, stands for conservative values, hard work, and faith in the American dream, while Jackson embodies the elite Hollywood perspective, often seen as out of touch with working people. Their clash, from Leavitt flipping Jackson's narrative with the 2015 bombshell to her emphasis on her working-class roots and mission to defend Trump, reflects the divide between social classes, where truth is often twisted by media glitz. Social media in the story, with hashtags like #Leavitt destroys Jackson and viral memes, shows how Twitter and TikTok shape American opinion, amplifying drama but also lifting those who stand for conviction. Leavitt's win came not from personal attacks but from truth, logic, and loyalty, while Jackson faltered when his ego outran his argument. From Caroline Leavitt's Pulse story, we learn that in today's America, where social media and news can amplify or distort voices, sincerity and preparation are key to real impact. Leavitt didn't just rely on wit, she used facts like the 2015 photo to dismantle Jackson's case, reminding us that hard truth trumps flashy jabs. When she spoke of her working-class family and returning to work post-childbirth, she connected with millions of everyday Americans, teaching us that authentic personal stories can outshine a star like Jackson's glow. In a polarized society, where Twitter can turn moments into movements, Leavitt's lesson is to stay grounded, not emotional. Prepare, hold your beliefs, and speak from the heart, like how she prioritized the people's mission over fame. Jackson lost because his Hollywood pride clouded his point, a warning that arrogance can dim even the sharpest mind. Whether you're a student debating in class, a worker pitching ideas, or a parent teaching values, take Leavitt's cue, stand on truth, tell your story with pride, and don't fear giants, because in America, an honest voice can change the game. Hit that subscribe button to join us in following Caroline Leavitt's fight for truth and more inspiring stories. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with more drama and lessons worth remembering.